Now, the rest of the story.
Mountain Dew's worse than what everything else I could be doing, I guess, but keeps me moving. So this is day, I guess we're gonna go technically this is day 3 of harvest. I don't know if it exactly say it's probably the first real good day of running. The last 3 days that we ran, I'd say are kind of write-offs. And the reason I call them write-offs is because we have that reel of despair that Dad and I went out to, wasn't quite Cascade, to get. It's a 15-year-old reel that was sitting at the corner of a guy's steer lot. And the terms pretty much are get it working, and we'll talk about what the charges are, what the price is going to be to use it later. But generally, it was just get it working, and it really didn't need much. New hoses, the hydraulic motor on it. I was a little bit leery at that, but that has actually been fine. That's running. Excuse me. The roller chain is new, or like new, because I patched it together with some stuff we had lying around. It's still a new chain. It's just, you know how when you spend years and years cutting different size length chain off of different packs, and then you get a bunch of different sizes. Well, I ended up patching 2 together and making it work out of brand new chain. Just more connectors. And I don't really have that many issues with connectors failing. I mean, I definitely can see where people are coming from, where they want only the one connection in the whole chain, depending on your different applications. I mean, I can definitely see that, but it hasn't been an issue. Keeping the chain tight has been an issue, and using the impact to tighten the reel down and making sure everything is adjusted properly and readjusted properly can sometimes be a little tedious, but not impossible. Not as bad as I thought it would be. So why don't we start talking about the crop? Well, we haven't harvested any fun stuff. We are solely working on the home farm, which has the most damage. We have, I'd say, just to put a number on it, right around 100 acres worth of wind damaged corn. Soybeans are damaged also, don't get me wrong, but the soybeans, we're gonna be able to harvest them regardless. They're all just laying over one direction, but we're still able to harvest them. And beans were pretty well used to the beans lodging anyway. So what's going to be annoying about that is we got approximately 200 acres of soybeans between Dad, Ryan, and myself, and what it's kind of looking like is the majority of that's going to have to be harvested one direction. I mean, you don't have to, but then you run the risk, not even risk, you do. You lose 5 to 10 bushels by harvesting it with the soybean leaning away from the head, because the head can't pull the plant into the head without serious head loss. So that's why we got to do that. Losing a drink of champions. I know it's bad for me, but what else is this guy supposed to do? We're probably going to switch over to beans. Ideally, that's looking like that's our best bet. The clouds are coming in right now. It was blue sky and sunny all day today. The wind's been blowing. Guys are harvesting soybeans in the area. Hearing a lot of reports of 15% beans, moisture-wise. The elevator wants 12. We're not in a position to dry all of our soybeans. And in a perfect world, which is typically what we try to do anyway, is that we're trying to harvest our soybeans and dump them on a truck and send them right to the river. The prices, what our corn's up, beans are down 1, but October delivery for cash is $9.88. For soybeans, corn is $3.45 for October delivery, $3.62 for November. My goals and intentions are to sell the majority of ours in November. Now, the problem with that is the corn that we're harvesting right now, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it's not great, but I was picturing this corn to be a lot worse as far as material and being dirty or whatever else like that, because my insurance agent has told me that you're crazy to try to store this stuff. Well, that's not the goal. All this stuff we're dumping into a bin right now. We're going to blow some air on it, probably throw a little heat to it after today. 19.8% is the collective average that I'm getting across a lot of this stuff. The plants are wet. The stalks are still green yet. Last night we did have he's almost full. We did have a killing frost last night. A lot of the weeds that are still present around the bins are black now. So what the royal prices are right now, $3.55 is generally where I'd like, at the minimum would have liked to been. But we're going to be selling some of this stuff here in October. They are calling, the talking heads are calling for corn prices to actually start creeping up. A3 for those of you keeping score. And it doesn't seem like much unloading on the go with how slow everything is going, but really just trying to keep the combine moving. The modifications done to the corn head, we actually broke the auger in the corn head on Saturday. That shut us down, but luckily enough for us, it was raining. It started to rain when we broke down. We got really lucky there, and we spent the rest of the day on Saturday fixing that auger and making some adjustments to the auger. Obviously it's all the way down and ahead, but Dad said his biggest problem is the corn reel is pushing the plants into the head. It's keeping everything moving. It's not letting stuff bunch up. But he said the problem is that then the plants get back to the auger, where the auger is actually able to hit them, and the auger can't grab the plants. So what Dad ended up doing, he found some, I know none of you, or very few of you, are going to understand this, but on the unloader on the cement silo, the auger actually had little triangular knives on them that are bolted on with two bolts. Well, we actually had a few of them in the parts bin. Dad was looking for them, so he said, I thought we had some around here yet. And we ended up putting 6 total on the back of the corn head. Dad went 100 feet, and he said it's a night and day difference. We ran yesterday afternoon, Sunday, about 3 o'clock until dark, and then we've been running since 9 o'clock this morning. It's currently 3:30, and since we've made those modifications, we've actually not had any issues as far as feeding into the head. Nobody has actually had to climb onto the back of the combine. See, my head's everywhere, or my mind is everywhere. The head isn't plugging up. Nobody's had to climb out and unplug the head. Everything is at least flowing through the combine. The biggest challenge we're dealing with right now is literally just trying to get the plants, the crop off the ground. I'm going to do a wide turn here. and salvage the crop. As far as we're not as bad as west of us, where you're hearing stories about how some guys are working their crop down. It's a complete loss. We aren't a complete loss. We should be thankful for that. It's just giving us another challenge to work with or work through. Where we're currently at, the last 3 or 4 years has been a wet, late harvest. This year it's the first week of October. This whole week is supposed to be pretty decent running, and at least we're able to run. It's just taking us longer now, more hours of actually running to get the crop that's out there in. As far as making corn fodder off this, I think that's the plan. Not on all of it, but the way it's looking, I'm kind of thinking about getting that 4155 Rhino up here, grinding up some of the stocks up here that we need. We're going to need probably about 250 as a good average as far as bales we're going to need for getting through this winter. They are calling for a colder, snowier winter this year. It's weather predictions, so take it with a grain of salt. Try to have enough bedding around. We have more than enough actual hay around, but with the amount of corn that is still on the ground that we weren't able to pick up, I'm kind of leaning towards grind it up, use it for bedding. You get some of that corn and you're not going to be able to pick up every single ear that you lost, but at the very least go through, bale up as much as we can, put it out for bedding. Cows actually go towards the bedding. It seems like they radiate towards the fodder quicker than they do the hay. The thing we're doing different this year as opposed to last year, because lack of communication on my part, neighbors are already making corn fodder or fodder bales. Last year Ryan baled about 2 strips at the home place, making 6x5 round bales, 6 feet tall, 5 feet wide. I like doing 5x5 round bales, largely because I feel it's easier on the baler, it's easier on the belts, easier to handle because the Bobcat can be taxed pretty quickly with heavier bales, and you're constantly balancing on the front 2 wheels on the Bobcat trying to get around. So 5x5 bales I just think works better overall. I really do. My goals and intentions are try to be done with everything by Thanksgiving. If not completely done, definitely on that last like quarter mile, and we're just about ready to start coasting. So the plan is to do as much chiseling this fall as possible. All the corn ground at Rockville is getting chiseled. It's going to soybeans next year, but it's getting chiseled. Soybeans, I might be doing, I'm saying it now, but doesn't mean it's concrete, but I'm really interested in doing anhydrous again this year. I prefer anhydrous. I don't like handling the stuff. Might be able to get it custom applied for a worthwhile price, and at least we're able to get the nitrogen down. It's fixed in the soil better than the other forms we've been having to use the last couple years. I know between urea and 28, I mean, we've used them growing up. It wasn't until the last decade or so where we actually started to farm for yield. Growing up, we were a dairy operation. We were growing for feed, and Grandpa didn't put a whole lot of stock in bumper yields when it come to grazing corn or wherever else. I mean, what we got is what we got, and the milk check was your paycheck, and can't say I'm still not very fond of that mindset. Monthly paycheck would be nice, myself, you guys, my viewers that are still watching, I say that because I found out, got kind of really bummed out about it. I doubt his wife is watching anymore, but got a little concerned last month, in the last 3 to 4 weeks or so. Haven't heard from a commenter that's commented on my channel basically from the get-go. Always a constant on all my videos, commented on every single video, and I started to get a little concerned when he dropped off the map completely. I have him on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and he just quit. I started to get concerned, and I looked his wife up on Facebook, and I found her, and I'm not really the type of person that does that, looking up people, or I've met him. I mean, he's been to the farm day. I asked her, I said, I know this sounds really strange coming from somebody you've never met, which, of course, her husband watches YouTube, so I get that quite a bit from husbands and boyfriends' wives, girlfriends, that, well, it's not like I've ever really met you before, but you're like family. Well, she did confirm what I was afraid that had happened. And Matthew Hogue, if you guys have heard me talk about him, he's my moderator. He's one of my moderators. Jim left me this spring. He asked to no longer be a moderator for health reasons. I have Matt, and I have one other moderator, and unfortunately, I'm not going to go into details about what happened, but Matt is no longer on this world anymore, and I don't know, that was kind of a gut check, because I've been used to seeing Matt comment on every video, no matter what it was. Pretty much a steady constant. And to be honest with you guys, like doing this right now, you watch enough other channels. I mean, this whole past year has kind of affected a lot of it as far as how everything's performing, and I don't get the views, the comments, pretty much anything. Everything that my channel monitors is down. So Jim was probably one of the last real constants. That I know I got Pat Kelly on there. I recognize him quite a bit, but I just talked to my channel sponsor. He actually just sent me the camera that I'm talking to you guys on. But I want to keep making videos, don't get me wrong. I'm just between dealing with the crops right now, the hay price is up. With the hay that I picked up 130 acres of row crops. I'm making 150 acres of hay. I have a little over 150 acres of row crops. The hay, I think, is pretty well constant. I got about another 20 acres to improve on the hay ground, if that happens. Otherwise, I'm pretty well maxed out the amount of hay I want to make. Row crops, that's a constantly moving number. I do have an ad in the paper for renting ground, and I've been contacted already. People that, the ones that called. I just told him to call me back when he's more certain what he's doing. He doesn't know if he wants to try it again next year or not. So, starting to hear about more of these farmers that are trying to decide whether or not they want to keep farming next year, which, when you're up above retirement age and you're getting pretty much beat across the head with these different challenges every year when you're farming, it gets stressful, it gets tiring. I'm only in my early 30s. I'm planning on being here for the long haul. Back to what I was originally saying, that between the hay, row crops, what else do I got? I got the hay, the row crops, something else. Then I got investments. There's a fifth one too. I can't remember what. It's not this. It is not this. So, but being diversified, that's one thing you always hear about, but when you really enjoy one thing in particular, such as raising corn and beans, that makes sense. But if I was just relying on just corn or just beans or just hay, I'd be a wreck. Because right now I got one aspect of what I call my portfolio, that it's been a pretty good constant, pretty reliable as far as income. That fell completely flat on its face this year, about March. And another asset that brought in some cash, but not a lot, took off, and it more than made up for what the other asset is lagging. So I don't know. Believe it or not, I'm actually not that stressed out about this year. I should be. Myself, I only have about 30 acres of wind damage stuff. I got some good prices locked in, but actually for the best that I didn't lock any more in when I almost did, because it would be locking in a loss. And the prices that we're seeing right now, which I already quoted you at the beginning of this video, are already better than any of the prices I could have locked in earlier this year. And I'm only willing to lock in, or for even next year, as far as locking in prices, I'm only willing to lock in so many bushels when I haven't even bought the seed yet. I mean, it's trying to spread your risk out. And last year it made a lot of sense. May 14th last year, I sold corn for this fall over $4, and that was supposed to be my low sales, and they are currently my outstanding sales for this year. And then honestly, the current price, I'm looking at November, I mean 360-ish. That's definitely a lot lower than what I was, it's 380 futures. A lot lower than what I was really hoping to get, but a lot better than what I was looking at the first part of this year. So I don't know. I know you guys, I got loyal viewers. I just talked to Herschel here last week, and I can't sit and talk for too much longer, but oh, cattle. I'm thinking of cattle. Cattle is one of the things. I was asked to do more on my cows. I haven't really been seeing them. Okay, let me rephrase that. I haven't been going around and checking all the cows individually. Basically, I'm driving by and making sure that they're in the pastures, and that they're all there. Other than that, I haven't actually taken the time to actually film any of my cows. The things with the cattle is getting kind of gray. My intentions were to keep all my heifers. I'm gonna be blunt with you. I don't like the way my heifers look. I'm not really entirely sold on what these calves look like. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong. Not all of them. It's just that when you buy from different groups of bred cows, you don't know what genetics you're getting. And I'm kind of leaning towards selling most, if not all, of my steers and heifers. Selling any of the cows that aren't bred back when we check them in December here. There's a cow sale December, February, March. There's a couple of them. I'm thinking about going with the money I get from selling my cows that aren't bred back, and then going and buying more that are checked as bred. So definitely try to get around 20 cows. I would like 30 to 50. My original goal was 30. The way the pastures and everything is sitting right now, I think 20 is good. Pay back what little that I actually have to pay my lender back on, and then the cows are actually free and clear. I mean, they're eating feed in the pasture that if we weren't feeding to the cows, the feed would just go to waste. If I don't owe anybody for those cows, which I won't be for much longer here, 20 head of calves that I can spin every year, or 15 head of calves and keep a few heifers and then just keep replacements and sell the cows, or having a steady 20-ish, 18, 20 cows to sell every year that I don't have to give to somebody else for making a cattle payment or whatever else. It's income. It's a big plus. I'm liking that. Plus all that hay that you guys can't see behind me. Not exactly best quality, but not exactly super low where I'm worried that it's not going to be worth anything to sell either. At least I can feed out the lower quality hay, giving them some supplements, not just giving them junk hay. And the cows actually help complement my hay ground. So I know I'm just kind of rambling. You know, it is what it is, but I gotta go and start the auger. More harvest videos to come. It's just that for the last 3 days, I really just didn't want to talk to a camera. No offense at all. That's a me issue. So until next time, I appreciate everybody that watches. I honestly do. Thanks for watching. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys later.